And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon. And as always, I'm working on your financial freedom. And on today's show, I'm going to reflect back to yesterday's show where I had Miles on the show. Now, those of you that caught the show, you know I got to have the opportunity to interview what I consider a brilliant young man. He is focused on what he is trying to do for a career, and he is making great strides. And he made some very, very good decisions about going to, now get this, college. Yeah, and I went to college, and chances are you went to college. Some of you currently have no desire to go to college. Everybody hears this piece of advice somewhere in their life. Go to school, get good grades, get into a college. Oh, there it is. There's the rub right there. Get into a college because you will get into a job field that has the potential to pay you more money over the course of your lifetime than if you don't go to college. I'm no different. I listen to that wisdom. Let me be very clear with you. I have not only one, but I have 2 degrees, okay? So right there and then, I'm going to tell you that I'm one of those guys that did exactly what I was told to do. I went to school, got reasonably good grades in high school. I got good enough grades in high school that I was able to get into college. I got into college. It was a challenge for me. The college that I ultimately went to cost my family more money per year when you consider the tuition, the fees, the room and board, and all the other expenses associated going to college. It cost my family more money than my mother and my father made in a working year. So right there and then, my college chances were kind of diminished. But then I got busy. I started looking for something called scholarships. And I'd get a scholarship here. I'd get a $500 scholarship. Or maybe I got a $1,000 scholarship. And over here, I got a $250 scholarship. The problem was all of those little scholarships were not adding up. They weren't producing the amount of money that I needed in order to go to college. So I was still stuck. And now get this. This is the summer of 1982. We're already into August of 1982. Now, it's not currently summer of 1982. Just so those of you listening to me are aware, I'm taking you back to the summer of 1982. I'm looking at my college dreams evaporate in front of my face. I'm getting scholarships, but I'm not getting enough scholarships to cover the cost associated with going to school. So what did I do? I turned to the military. I did. I turned to the military. Now, I really had no desire to go into the military. I mean, it wasn't on my bucket list of things to do. It wasn't one of those things that I dreamed about doing in high school. No, I didn't dream about going into the military. But here's the thing the military offered me that nobody else was offering me. Full tuition, full fees. Now, it didn't cover my room and board, but it covered the bulk of my cost associated with going to college. So what did I do? I applied for ROTC scholarships. ROTC stands for Reserve Officer Training Corps. In other words, what you say that you do, that when you sign up for these things, you're willing to go into the military, you're willing to serve in the military, either on active duty or in a reserve component affiliation. However you do that is pretty much up to the military. And here's the deal. If you take the scholarship, they're going to pay for school, and at the end of your 4 years of education, you're going to get that degree. And here's the other thing. You're going to have a job. You're going to have a job lined up because the military is going to take you on. You're either going to go on active duty or you're going to go part-time in reserve duty. And finally, I get the ROTC scholarship that I needed. I received a 4-year Army ROTC scholarship, and I was able to go to college. And the interesting thing about that equation is that many people go to college trying to study a particular career field, or maybe they try and figure out their career field as they're going through college. And then they get to the end of college And now they start competing for jobs. They start getting their resumes together. The headhunters come to the colleges. Those of you that went to college that, did it the traditional way, you know how this all works. Now, I didn't go through that headhunter experience because I already had a job lined up. My scholarship required me to go on active duty for 4 years right after I graduated. So I knew that I had a job all lined up. There was no reason for me to go out and interview with anybody because it would have been pointless. It would have been a waste of my time. So when most of my buddies were interviewing, I was just kind of hanging out, doing my thing. So what's this got to do with Miles? What's this got to do with the young man that I had on the show yesterday? Well, it has everything to do with the young man that I had on the show yesterday, and here's why. Miles was told the same things. His parents, now let me just tell you about his parents. His parents are very, very successful real estate investors. They've been members of Lifestyles Unlimited for a very long time. They have invested in hundreds of apartment communities. They have changed the dynamic of their real estate life immeasurably. Yeah, I don't even know how to say it even clearer than that. They have changed the dynamics of their life by using real estate to enhance their income streams, their quality of life. I mean, anything that I spit out, real estate has helped with. And here's the thing. Miles was growing up in that household watching his parents go from working really hard in careers that they had into not working very hard because they had retired themselves, and then getting to a point where they're flourishing by investing in real estate assets. So Miles gets it in his head that he's going to become a real estate investor. He's going to do what mom and dad are going to do. And you know what? I'm all on board with that. And here's the thing. He put an emphasis on a college education. He valued what he could get from a college education. And instead of just bypassing college, like I might, suggest on this show time and time again, he made a definitive decision to go to college. So why did he make this definitive decision to go to college? It's because going to college was going to teach him certain skill sets that he did not have access to. So do you remember what he said he studied? He studied real estate and finance. What are the two things that you could study in college that would have a benefit to you if you're a real estate investor? Those two things. So he specifically went to college to study a very specific degree that he felt would benefit him as a real estate investor. Now, here's what else I know about Miles. And he's I'll just say he's a humble guy. He doesn't like to brag on himself. So it's a good thing that I'm here because I'm going to brag on the guy. Ready? So here we go. Let's brag on Miles. That kid, I call him a kid, that man was brilliant enough to probably get into any college that he wanted to go to. So where did he go to college? Did he go to Harvard? Wrong. Didn't go to Harvard. How about Stanford? Did he go to Stanford? Wrong again. Didn't go to Stanford. So where did he go to school? University of Houston. University of Houston? Why University of Houston? Because he is a resident of the city of Houston. He grew up in the city of Houston. There's probably nobody else in the city of Houston that's his age that understands the dynamics of the city of Houston and has watched the city of Houston grow over the last couple of decades as he was growing up. And then as his parents became immersed into real estate, he became immersed alongside of them. So he's watching the business aspects of real estate while he's watching the city of Houston grow. So why did he go to the University of Houston? What other school out there could give him the type of education that he's looking for with regards to the city of Houston? The market that he's choosing to invest in. Why not the University of Houston? That's why he went to school there, because they were best situated to give him the education that he sought out. Now, let me throw out some stats for you. I'm going to throw some stats out that are going to blow your mind. Most people that go to college and earn a college degree, they do not wind up working in a career field that is commensurate with their degree. Do you know that? No, it's true. It's totally true. I did the research before the show. I did. Now check this out. There are some fields There are some fields out there where the number of people working in them have the right degrees. Yeah. Or I should say it backwards, because ironically, here's the thing. There are people that go out and they get degrees, and there's not enough jobs in that job sector for the people with those degrees. Did you know that? Yeah, it's true. Look at all the people that get criminal justice degrees. My son, Jonathan, he is the recipient of a criminal justice degree. You know the number of people with criminal justice degrees that actually go to work in law enforcement? It's like way less than 1%. It's like a really small number. Really small number. My son Jonathan, he's not going to work in law enforcement. He kind of looked at that as a possible option, and you know what he decided? He decided no, that was not on his list of things to do. He'd rather be a real estate investor. Yeah, real estate investor does not line up very well with a criminal justice degree. I'm just saying. But real estate investor lines up really well with a business finance degree from the University of Houston, especially if you're going to invest in the city of Houston. Makes total sense to me. So this is one of those times when I'm actually going to argue that the value of a college degree. If that college degree is going to give you something very, very tangible that you can use in your future career path, then maybe going to college and spending all that money on college, maybe that's worth it. Now, here's the other thing I would tell you. Remember I told you Miles was brilliant? There's something he didn't tell you when we were talking about his college experience on yesterday's show. His professors understood his knowledge base. His professors could identify his brilliance. And you know what they used him as? They kind of used him as an impromptu TA. TA stands for teaching assistant. So what do you do with an impromptu TA? Well, you let him teach the classes for you because he's brilliant. He probably knows more than you do. Yeah, think about that for a minute as we go to break. When we come back from the break, I'm going to get back into Miles' story. Stick around.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
A woman came up to me a couple of years ago. She goes, you know, Del, this retirement stuff's great and everything, but I got a problem. I go, what's that? She goes, I married my husband for good, bad, ugly, for the rest of our life, better or worse, but not to have him at home with me every day. Get him out of here.
Sound like a problem you'd want? Learn how to retire in 5 years or less. Go to lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Creating the lifestyle you've always wanted. You're hearing Lifestyles Unlimited's Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the second half of the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, I'm working on your financial freedom. And I'm doing so by talking about Miles, my guest from yesterday, because there's actually a lot of great information that he and I didn't get the opportunity to talk about. And I know he's busy today because he's doing lease audits and he's doing some other things because he's looking for his next real estate investment property. So he didn't have the time available to come back on the show. So I'm just going to do the show without him. You guys okay with that? All right. Here's what I want to talk about Miles. He's in the minority. Well, he's in the minority of college graduates that actually work within their degree field. I have 2 business degrees. And some of you would say, well, Al, you work within your degree because you're a real estate investor. And I would tell you, yes, that is definitely true. But then if you look at what I do here on radio, I'm really more in the education field because my responsibility here is to teach you things that nobody else would bother to teach you. I guess I got 1 foot in and 1 foot out. But Miles, he's got both feet in. His degree, the degree that he chose, complements him extremely well. It really gave him a holistic approach to his knowledge base. Miles's parents, guess what they had? At least a 4-year college experience before they came to Lifestyles Unlimited. So that's part of the reason we don't bother with that stuff. And then the other piece is we don't think that you ought to waste your time, money, and effort on the college piece once we've taught you how to be a real estate investor. because we've taught you the skill sets that you need to be successful out there in the dog-eat-dog world. There are a lot of people with nursing degrees that don't work in nursing. Check this out. Members of Lifestyles Unlimited. Why? It lines up. What are nurses? Nurses are immediate problem solvers. And they learned, well, they didn't learn a lot of math. They learned a lot of like biology stuff, but that hurts your head too, right? Okay. So, but the point I'm trying to make is they learned enough math in the nursing career field that they can be successful as real estate investors. Pretty cool stuff. What about educators? Now, educators, they're in one of those groups where maybe about 10 to 15% of the people that actually work in education have education degrees. And those people tend to be in the, what do they call it? The management sector, right? Because the management arm of education requires you to have degrees. And here's the other thing. You probably need to have a degree, a bachelor's degree, to teach at the elementary or the middle school or the high school level. Would you agree with that? But here's the thing. I think the problem with education degrees is really a result of there's not enough education positions out there for the number of degrees that are created every year. A lot of people want to major in education, and there are not enough qualified teaching jobs out there. And here's the other thing about teaching jobs, and I'll just go ahead and say it. Most of them don't pay very well. But here's what else I know. A lot of former teachers, a lot of current teachers, believe it or not, are members of Lifestyles Unlimited. They have the educational experience necessary to compete well as real estate investors. They are problem solvers too. They teach you how to solve problems. All right, so far I told you I was going to brag about Miles in this segment, and I've really just been talking about other types of fields of study that don't necessarily line up with the career field that the people actually take. But Miles did. He did. There is opportunity for every one of you listening to me to be a real estate investor, regardless of what degree you pursued in college. None of that matters to me. Here's what matters to me. Can you think? Can you do the things necessary to be a real estate investor? And the short answer is yes. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. Real estate investing does not need you to obtain an advanced degree in thermodynamics. No, you don't have to go there. You also don't have to go get a degree in real estate finance like Miles received. Now, if you choose to do that, you're doing it because you believe that it's going to augment your knowledge base. And if that degree provides an augmentation to you, then I think you should pursue it. But as soon as you realize that that augmentation is falling off, that you're not getting what you thought you were going to get, you should step away from it. I'm serious about that. Now, when it comes to real estate investing, when it comes to becoming a member of Lifestyles Unlimited, you're going to learn everything you need to learn. It's going to take us 16 hours to teach you. You heard me correctly. 16. That's the number 16. 16 hours. That's the time requirement we need to have you in the classroom. That's the amount of time that we need to change your mind about a lot of things and to teach you how to be a successful real estate investor, either in the single family space or the multifamily space. End of story. So follow along, because what I'm going to share with you now is an opportunity for you to make, now get this, a 12% return on your money on the cash on cash. Now, some of you don't even know what I just said. Some of you are spot on. Some of you are like, okay, 12%. 12% cash on cash return on your investment. And, now get this, there is an opportunity to increase the value of the property and receive 155% rate of return on the natural appreciation of the property over a 5-year period. Some of you following, some of you got lost. Okay, not a problem. Here's the other thing I want to share with you. There is an opportunity for you to capture $37,700 in net equity. In other words, an equity capture event. So what this means is you're buying the asset at wholesale pricing, you're fixing it up at wholesale pricing, yet you're commanding a retail price on this particular asset. $37,700 in equity captured. That represents a 125% return on capital gains. What's it going to take to get these types of rates of return? It's going to take $30,000 of your own money. $30,000. Now, let me explain the deal to you. This property is currently in existence as a triplex. It's in bad shape. The owners of the property did not take care of this thing. It's in really bad shape. This is going to be a heavy rehab, okay? And for those of you looking to do your very first rehab, maybe this isn't the type of deal. But you can learn from this type of deal. Does that make sense to you? Okay. This property would be better suited as a duplex. Somebody went in, it's zoned as a duplex. They went in, they transitioned it to a triplex because they thought if we add an extra door, we'll make more money. Usually that makes sense, but the problem is they took one of the units and they cut it in half, and they didn't make it. It's terrible. It's terrible. So it doesn't function well as a triplex, but it would function better as a duplex. Here's the thing. The property, all fixed up, when it's all fixed up, is worth $250,000. In its current state, in the current marketplace, it's only worth $85,000. Just $85,000. Now, you could write a check for $85,000, but I already told you you're out of pocket. The amount of pocket money you're going to take to put down into this property is about $30,000. So you're not going to write a check for $85,000, even though you're going to purchase the property for $85,000. Rehab on this is huge. This is a really big rehab. It's almost $118,000. Yeah, there's a lot wrong with this property. Foundation, roof, HVAC, you name it, it all has to be touched. It's all in bad condition. But the numbers all work because the numbers are going to allow us to capture almost $38,000 in equity in this particular property. And it's only going to cost us about $30,000 to do the deal. Now, the property is going to cash flow. It's going to cash flow $860 a month when it's converted back into a duplex. What does that mean? That means you're going to have an annual cash flow on this particular property. Now, are you sitting down? $10,320. $10,320. You are receiving a cash-on-cash return of 34.21%. Just call it 34%. Round down. Call it simple. 34% return on investment just on the cash on cash. You're getting 125% return on the equity that you capture. Now, let's talk about this equity capture. You're putting $30,000 into the deal, but you're capturing almost $38,000 of equity in addition to the $30,000 that you're actually paying for. How much equity are you getting in this property? $68,000. $68,000 worth of equity. That means your all-in cost is below $190,000, yet you own this property and it's worth $250,000. Can you see the value here? Let's say you go ahead and buy this property, you own and operate it. You take advantage of all the different ways we make money in real estate, to include principal paydown. I didn't even talk about that one. Principal paydown is just another way we make money in real estate. Now, it doesn't tend to produce as big of gains as the other ways we make money in real estate, but we still increase our equity position on the principal paydown. And then there's the tax advantages. The tax advantages of this particular asset make it so that we're not going to pay anything on the cash flow that we bring in the form of taxes, because the depreciation that comes off this property is going to offset the taxes that would be due on the cash flow. It's pretty neat, huh? Pretty neat thing. So at the end of the day, if you own this property for 5 years and owned it outright for 5 years, you would make a 217% return on investment when you take into consideration all the different ways we make money in real estate. You would turn $30,000 into, now get this, $119,500 of total equity. at the time of sale. Now, you're going to sell the property. You're going to have closing costs, about 8% for the closing costs. So I'm factoring in about $24,000 in closing costs. So your adjusted capital gain is over almost $96,000. Almost $96,000 that you made. Now, when we take the original investment out, if we take that original $30,000 out of your adjusted capital gain, check this out. You are getting, are you ready for it? I hope you're sitting down. You're getting a profit of $63,500. $63,500. You effectively took $30,000 of your own money and you turned it into almost $96,000. When's the last time you did something like that for yourself? When's the last time you took an active role in your investment strategies as they relate to whatever you're trying to do for retirement? When's the last time you got rates of return like the rates of return that I'm talking about? And this is just one particular real estate transaction. This is one particular property that is out there amongst millions of properties that you could own. Why are you not doing something different? Why are you not taking advantage of that college education that you have? The fact that they sharpened your mind, they trained your mind. Start using that mind to think of different ways to achieve your retirement solution. Because your retirement solution right now, it's either working or it's not. And why is that so important? Because you don't want to get to a point in your life where you realize that your retirement plan has failed you and you got to play catch up. But the good news is this: even if you get to that point in your life, Lifestyles Unlimited, we can help you. Because everything that we do at Lifestyles Unlimited is designed to educate you on getting retired in 5 years or less. 5 years or less. Not 30, 40, or 50 years like your current retirement strategy, 5 years or less. And based on the transaction that I gave you on today's show, that is one particular property that you could put in your portfolio that would help you get to that place of retirement in 5 years or less. Simple as that. If you want to do what I'm doing, if you want to do what the 50,000 members of Lifestyles Unlimited are doing, go to lifestylesunlimited.com, sign up for a free workshop, and let's get you going.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.